The good news that I share with you today is that God will always vindicate the just. God will vindicate a good person. And because we know God will always vindicate the just and a good person, our prayers today will be for the courage to live with a spirit of humility, knowing our place and doing what is right, and also the sense of continuing in what is good, no matter what happens, no matter the circumstances, to continue to do good. Last Sunday, our reflection, we showed about how Jesus turned to Peter and said to him, "Get behind me, Satan." Why? Because Peter was trying to dissuade him from the path of the cross. The path of the cross has been perpetuated, orchestrated by the leadership of the people who could not withstand the Jesus momentum. They thought they were in charge and they were doing everything, but people were coming to Jesus because of the way he was talking, because of the miracles he was doing, because of his form of ministry. And the people felt they were losing grip of the community, and they felt that the best thing to do is to eliminate him. They could not withstand the Jesus momentum. We reflected on the fact that Peter tried to dissuade him from the path of the cross simply because this idea of death on the cross did not fit into his imagination of the person of Jesus the Christ. Now, as disdainful as the sense of dying on the cross was and could be, as bad as it was and it could be, it appeared Peter was listening to Jesus talk about his death on the cross. He did not listen to the whole thing that Jesus was talking about. He failed to hear about the idea that on the third day he will rise from the dead. Peter heard only about the victory of the wicked people that will kill Jesus, but he did not hear about the divine victory in the resurrection of Jesus. And because he did not hear this, he tried to dissuade Jesus. And not hearing this meant that he did not hear the fact that no matter what happens, only God has the right to write the last chapter of anyone's life. Because the victory of wicked people in the death of Jesus will not be the last story. There will be the divine victory in the resurrection of Jesus. Now, throughout human history, many people have acted ignorantly of this divine victory, this final victory of God. And because they have lived ignorant, acted ignorant of this final victory of God, they have continued to act wickedly, they have continued to act irreligiously, they have continued to act immorally, they have continued to act not reasonably. They continue to think it's about them what they want. They make it about themselves, about what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. Because they do not reckon with the sense of the final victory, which is God. Now, from our first reading today, we know that this idea of people acting ignorant of the final victory of God did not start yesterday. And it's not going to end tomorrow just because we have read it today. No, it didn't start yesterday and it's not ending soon. And this is very unfortunate that people have continued to live and act ignorant of the fact that God will always have the last laugh, the last say, the last victory. The wicked people we read about in that first reading wanted to destroy the good person whose lifestyle they felt challenged their own lifestyles, whose lifestyle they felt challenged their own upbringing, whose lifestyle they felt challenged their wicked ways of acting. And I'm sure we have seen this happen even in our present day. When you walk into a discussion and all of a sudden everybody keeps quiet, all of a sudden people walk away. And when they are calling for such nocturnal meetings, they fail to put you in the list. They fail to keep you in the loop because they felt that your presence in the place will not help them accomplish the evil deed they want to do. They need to kick you out. So they felt that the good person's lifestyle challenged their way of life, challenged their upbringing, challenged their wicked acts. In today's language, we call it that people want to do what? Cancel the good person out. Cancel the good person out because of his different lifestyle, because of his different opinion, because of his different persuasion, because of a personal life identity. There's that tendency to cancel someone out because of his own or her own way of life and lifestyle. I'm sure you may have experienced something similar to this. When you try to tell that friend, when you try to tell that brother or sister, when you try to tell that family member or your colleague something bad they are doing, you are bringing it to them and telling them this is not right. You're bringing it to them, telling them about the need to pray, about the need to go to church. You are telling them about the need to act responsibly and reasonably. I'm sure you have heard or you have experienced them trying to cancel you out, trying to silence you because of these acts of what you try to do in their life. Have you? If you have not, don't rejoice yet. You may meet it tomorrow. I, for one, I have had enough dose of those things. And because of the threat and the fear of being cancelled out, the fear of feeling like I'm alone out in the world, I have no friends, I have no followers, I have nothing. Many people have adopted the policy of see no evil, hear no evil. Because they feel they don't want to be cancelled out, they don't want to be knocked off from the public square. But my question to anyone who finds himself in living see no evil, hear no evil, because you don't fear being cancelled out, you fear being left alone where you are. My simple questions for you are this. Does your silence in the face of these bad actions make them no longer bad actions? It does your silence in the face of your brother, your sister's irreligiosity make it no longer bad? Does your silence in the face of their irresponsibility make it good? In the sight of God, evil is evil. We say in my native language, or ihojo, ihojo. If it's bad, it is bad. In the sight of God, it remains bad. Whether you are silent or whether you shout or whether you put it on Twitter or whether you put it on Facebook, evil is evil, wickedness is wickedness, sin is sin. There are no two ways. No matter how you put this lipstick on the pig, it remains still that pig. Nothing more, nothing less. Another question to ask: does your silence in the face of your brother, your friend, your colleagues acts that are bad? Does your silence make them better people because you kept silent? And the answer in all these things is no. Your silence does not make evil now good. Your silence does not make your brother better or your sister better if they are doing what is wrong, if they're acting irresponsibly, if they're acting irreligiously, if they're acting immorally, your silence does not pay them, does not make them better. No, it rather makes things worse for them. This is what we notice. Because when they think it is my life, it is my body, it is my everything, and nobody should tell me how to live my life, nobody should tell me how to relate with my God, nobody should tell me anything. So I live the way I want to live and do the things I want to do, when I want to do them, how I want to do them. What does it lead to? Some of them lead to some senses of addiction because you now become so engrossed in what you're doing, in drug, in alcoholism, in sex, in whatever. We get so engrossed in them and think that's the way, the lifestyle, the things to do. But what do they still lead? Once you get so addicted into these things, what are the things that begin to happen? For which we in the field of clinical health education talk about in addiction as a disease. It's because with addiction, you begin to lose your good health, you begin to lose your job, you begin to lose your friends, you begin to lose family members, people who love you. You begin to even be homeless, be alone, just because you said, it's my life, nobody should tell me what I should do. We have this saying as a joke in my native language that the fly that has no political advisor follows the corpse to the grave because nobody wants to tell you anything, nobody can tell you anything. And you find yourself derailing little by little and little. So, my friends, silence in the face of evil, silence in the face of wickedness, silence in the face of immorality, silence in the face of irreligiosity is not golden. And because it's not golden, we are called to speak up, regardless of how people want to look at us, how they want to cancel us out, and what they want to push us in the dustbin of history. We are given responsibility to speak up so that evil can be healed and cured, because it still remains evil whether we talk or don't talk. Now, in our world today, we know that it is rivalries of who controls the space, be it the space at the White House, be it the space in the Congress, be it the space in church and community leaderships, be it the space in the family, who controls the prime news time, who controls the war about, the cultural wars that are being fought every day. These rivalries lead people into the temptation of trying to cancel each other out because they want to remain the voices that must be heard. They want to be the people to define what the narratives are. And because people are finding themselves in this type of rivalry, some fight it, learn from themselves. Other people want to stop and be silent. And we already said that our silence does not evil, not good. Neither do our silences make a bad thing, a bad person, a good person. No, it does not. So I know too that I speak about it and reflect on this is not gonna make rivalries to stop. Rivalries will continue. Oftentimes, rivalries can be healthy because it is rivalries that bring competition, and competition lead us to make better, to lead us to progress. Even the self rivalry of the restlessness we feel in ourselves, either as athletes, either as intellectuals, either as scientists, whatever. The even self restlessness lead us to push ourselves to the next level. So rivalry can be good, rivalry can be healthy, rivalry can be positive and productive. But what I share with you today and what I want us to reflect today is that no matter the rivalry you may find yourself, never allow yourself to be tempted to provoke life, to provoke God in the way you live your rivalries. Never allow yourself to provoke God in the way you live your rivalries. You see, those people in our fostering today, those wicked people, provoked God in their rivalry between the person they call a good person whose lifestyle it challenges them. They now began to provoke God in the process. And how do they do that? They said, let's plan evil, let's eliminate him, let's expire him, and let's see what God is gonna do. You see the same thing happen in the time of Jesus when they crucified him and they left him hanging on the cross. What did they say? He helped others. Let him help himself. If he's the Son of God, let him come down. I will believe him. Provoking God. Because of their rivalry, that Jesus is now taking the crowd, they're taking the center stage. Because of their rivalry that these wicked people felt about a good person, as the book of wisdom tells us. they now went to the extent of provoking God, doing their wicked acts. These things, my friends, we have to be careful about them. Because no matter what you do to push other people out, no matter what to live that your way of life, you are not going to be God. You're still going to be a human being. You're not going to live forever. You'll still die. You will still feel some power today, but that power expires. Be you the president, you can only expire your term or death expires you. Be you the strongest person, you cannot live that strength today, but age tomorrow, you are walking with stick. Be it the beautiful person, yes, your beauty is there, but live 80 years and 90 years and we see your cheek sagging and everything. So no matter how you think that rivalry, it will come to an end. So never you let yourself be tempted into provoking God in the way you live out your rivalry. So let us learn to overcome that spirit of rivalry that is able to lead us to provoking God, because this world is God's world. It's not your world. This world is God's world, not your world, not my world. I didn't create it. You didn't create it. We are all creatures of God. And this world is in God's hand. So let us learn to overcome these negative spirits of rivalry that provoke God. Let us approach life with a spirit of humility, knowing our place. It is this lack of humility that led the apostles from our gospel to begin to think of who is going to be in charge, who is going to dictate the narrative, who will now command everybody. And if care was not taken, if Jesus had not intervened, that rivalry would have been the end of that nascent Christian community that Jesus was trying to build. So he let them understand that that rivalry should not be there. What should be there will be their spirit of service to the community. And let us do so entrusting everything into God's hand, remaining of good character, remaining in the spirit to protect others, to protect ourselves, to be prophets to one another, helping one another to be good, because our silence is only making things worse for people. And if you have gained some notoriety because of your braggadocio of thinking of your power today, your strength today, your everything today, be careful. Be careful the way you intimidate others. Be careful the way you terrorize others into submission. Be careful the way you want to force others, to accept your ideas, your policies, your politics, and everything. Be careful. Why do I say be careful? Somebody was asked what he has learned from history, and what he told us is this. From history, he has learned that the meal of God grinds slowly, but it grinds finely. The meal of God grinds slowly, but it grinds finally. So don't allow yourself, your spirit of rivalry, to provoke God. Rather, what should be our way of life? And I would like to quote us from the book of Sirach, chapter 28 from verse 6, which says, remember your last days, set enmity aside, remember death and decay, and cease from sin. Think of the commandments. Hate not your neighbor. Of the Most High's covenant. Look at that. Overlook fault, overlook strife, and your sins will be fewer. For a quarrelsome man kindles nothing but dispute. So let us be humble so that God will lift us up at the end. The opportunity you have, the strength you have, must be to lift other people up, must be to glorify God, must be to lift your brothers, your sisters, and nothing more. Peace be with you.